Is the Blackpool Combat Club the best thing in wrestling right now? Yes.
Short answer. Yes.
Cool. Well,
Long
good
answer.
podcast.
Yes.
There it is, Tempest. Good joke. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast review of Rampage and SmackDown. We will talk about SmackDown later, but we're going to be talking about Rampage first. Get in your Ultrachats at WrestleTalk.com/support if you have any thoughts and feelings about Rampage, SmackDown, wrestling, anything. Me. Talk about me. Ultrachat about me. That'd be great. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about Rampage. I am a bit loopy today, Tempest. I'm a bit tired. You know what I did today, Tempest? You know what I did today? I did my news video this morning, watched SmackDown, did my news, did my review, and then I built some shelves, and now I'm here doing a podcast.
Nice.
I was physical, and I got sweaty, and now I'm here doing a podcast, and I'm very tired because I did something physical, and I don't normally do anything physical ever. Anyway, people who do stuff,
podcaster.
Yeah, but people who do physical stuff is the Blackpool Combat Club. They're cool, right?
What a segue.
They had the opening match on Rampage this week against the Gunn Club, the currently undefeated Gunn Club, as the trio that is. And I genuinely think with the crowning of Wheeler Yuta last week and the acceptance into Blackpool Combat Club, them as a trio now, I genuinely think it's the best thing in wrestling. And I don't say that lightly. And I genuinely think that they have the most potential as a group, and they're the most exciting thing that I've seen in quite some time. It's every time I see an AEW show, I'm like, where's Moxley? Where's Danielson? Where's Yuta? What are they doing on this show? It's something that I keep tuning into AEW to be like, what's the next thing that they're doing? And that is irreplaceable. That's something that's really
that's
exciting.
the goal. That's the goal in wrestling, really.
Yeah.
That's
so good.
I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. You know, I think I would have had a similar reaction to last week where I would have come on here and just been like, this thing is perfect, and I still will. I think I was thinking of what extra things they could do to this, and this is just me at this point theorizing with fantasy booking and such. I think Yuta should have shaved his head. I think this should have been kind of like a boot camp, young lion, you're going through training again kind of thing.
That's fun.
You know? Like, I think that would have been like a fun thing. Like, whoever goes through this has to like shave their head, and then as it grows back, that is then your new character, very much like how the young lions do in New Japan. Like everybody starts off the same, and then you get built back up as a new wrestler. I think that would have been fun, but I mean, I'm not gonna say that. Oh, it's ruined now. My idea didn't happen. I'm not gonna say that. You know, he did have the black and white version of his previously colorful tights, so there was a change that happened. So I will give him that.
Yeah.
I really like this group.
I love the presentation of them. It's so weird because they're so unified and also so separate at the same time.
Yeah.
Like they each have individual entrances. William Regal was specifically accompanying Wheeler Yuta to the ring this time. Not Danielson, not Moxley, which I thought was really interesting. Moxley still comes out through the crowd. They all seem so different, but they're just unified because of Regal. Regal's like the overarching guy that just brings everyone together, and it's just like the glue that holds them all together. It's such a unique presentation, and I don't think I've seen from a wrestling faction in quite some time. And I just love everything about them. The way they interacted in this trios match against the Gunn Club was like spot on, and how the crowd were popping every time they did a tag because they were like, this person's in the ring now. And then it would tag back to like the same person that was just in the ring. They go, oh, we want to see more of this guy again. And they just pop every time there's a tag because all three of these guys are super duper over, which built to like a massive Wheeler Yuta hot tag, which was great. And then you had the stare down with Danielson and Moxley getting taken out by Billy Gunn. You had like the final moments of Wheeler Yuta standing up to the big bad Billy Gunn. And the crowd were like, yeah, let's go, Yuta. Well, you can murder this guy. And your little nitpick was Yuta maybe should have shaved his head. My little nitpick is I feel like Yuta should have won more decisively against Billy Gunn. Why does AEW protect Billy Gunn so much? That's my thing. Why did it take 2 coffin drops? And why why does he only just manage to get a roll up here? Why can he just like pin him with like a finisher? You know, but
I think it's fine because it's the first week.
Sure,
you know, it's like if it's a gradual process. He's winning now, but he's not winning like super decisively. And I agree. I would prefer them to just beat one of the Gun Club because it's the Gun Club. You know,
yeah, totally.
I think sure he can roll up Billy Gunn and that be a thing. He could also just hit his finish on one of the ass boys and pin them. And I think it would have had the same effect and perhaps more. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the best way to do it. I don't know. But I do agree. I do look at Billy Gunn sometimes and I was just like, why? Why is Billy Gunn? But it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. They're not going to take away my enjoyment of this group because I get so excited just about the future of this group. Every week there's some advancement in this little story. And it doesn't need to be major. Sometimes it's really major, like last week. Like that was a huge turning point in the angle. But they don't all have to be like that, you know? And
I'm assuming you're going to put up the same comment I just saw. Yeah, that one.
I wouldn't even say apples to oranges. This is apples to steak. It's not even the same food group anymore. But regardless, yeah, this is a fantastic little group that every week they advance the story a little bit, and I just really enjoy it because I don't know where exactly we're going now. I don't know because before it's they're going to build to Wheeler Yuta joining the group. That's obviously where the next bit is going to be. I don't know where the next thing is going to be. Are they going to challenge for tag titles? Are they going to introduce a trios title? Or one of them going to challenge for a world title? I don't necessarily think the last one's going to happen right now because I think that's occupied by CM Punk. But regardless, I'm interested all the same in what happens next. I don't know if they then turn their attention back to recruiting after a little while or if they focus strictly on getting Wheeler Yuta to where he needs to be. I don't know. I don't know who the next person even is after Wheeler Yuta because I would like this to be kind of like, I don't know if he has to graduate this little group first before they go back to recruiting. I don't know if they're going to have just one young boy in the group at a time or if they can start like, well, let's bring Lee Moriarty into the group or let's bring whoever, because I think there's like a lot that can be done by having a few guys, you know, the Danielson and the Moxley and the Regal at the top and just have like a class. Just have like, this is the first class of the Blackpool Combat Club, you know, and have you don't just need to be like 10 guys, but it could be like 3, maybe 4 guys. You can train them all at once and have them all be trained differently. Maybe one of them's a little bit more aggressive and he latches onto Moxley a little bit more, while as the technical people lean towards Danielson a little bit more, and you get the different relationships. There's just so many possibilities, and I'm not going to be upset if any of them happen or don't happen. It just makes me curious to see what's next, and that is the goal. That makes me want to see the next show.
Legit. I think what I personally would like to see, this is just fantasy booking on my end, I'd like to see them recruit Lee Moriarty next and have kind of like a similar, not the same, because you don't want it to be the same as Wheeler Yuta's acceptance into the group. You want him to come through a different way, but have Lee Moriarty join in some factor, start building him up as well. Maybe have a Moriarty Yuta tag team or something, and maybe they can go on a little run together or something like that. That seems fun. And then you try and get the ultimate prize. You try and get Daniel Garcia away from the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yes,
but this is
that's where it goes. Yeah,
months and months down the line.
Yeah,
after Garcia's been in Jericho for a while, then you like entice him away from the Appreciation Society and like get him. I think that would be quite nice. He's the ultimate prize that they want to get their hands on. Really good. Yeah.
I like, there's just so much that they can do. You know, they could take this in literally any direction. The only way that they mess this up is if like they break them up next week. If Danielson just all of a sudden turned on Moxley next week, I'd be like, what have you done? But I've like, they have the benefit of the doubt to not mess it up. So I don't know. I just kind of trust them to make this work, you know, and that's what makes fantasy booking fun, because it's the same way that like, well, this is a bad example, but the same way that everybody was like ahead of Game of Thrones season 8 with their fan theories and like what's going to happen. Like that's fun because you think it's going to pay off, but that's a bad example because that didn't pay off. But take any show with a long hiatus between seasons where fans are really theorizing about what's going to happen. That's what's happening here. Like there's no sense in fantasy booking other shows a lot of the time because it's like, yeah, you're just stimulating yourself. You know, there's no point in trying to figure out what they're going to do because they're not actually going to do anything. Whereas on this show, trying to figure out what they're going to do is fun because you're like trying to figure out a puzzle. You're like trying to figure out the answer. You're trying to figure out what happens next. But what they're going to do is probably better than what you're thinking of. Especially, like, not all the time. Not saying booking is perfect all the time. But this has had a very good track record so far. This angle, this group.
Yep.
And that is just so exciting. So exciting. I get the same feeling watching this that I did watching, like, the Omega and Hangman long storyline where it's like every week I'm waiting for, like, something new to happen, some new, like, character moment. And I want to pay attention to every segment because I don't want to miss anything. Love this group. I love this group. This is my favorite group since, like, I don't know, peak Bullet Club. Can't really think of one that's been better than this so far, you know, since then. It's exactly what I want out of wrestling. And this is what I said last week, but like it is a group that is about the wrestling, but it still has the character and the emotion and the storylines all built into it, but it's centered around the wrestling. And that might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's my cup of tea. And I really like this cup of tea.
Absolutely. I also really appreciated the fact that they gave Yuta the win in this match.
Yes.
Because he's the new guy, right? Because you very easily could have had Moxley or Danielson. You could have had Yuta be the guy that got worked over in the match because he's new and inexperienced. And then you have Moxley and Danielson come and save him. Either one of them beats up one of the ass boys and they get the win. I don't think it would have been anywhere near as effective as what they did in the match. They put the spotlight on Yuta where it should have been because he's still the one that's hot in the group, which is wild when you've got a group with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson that Yuta's the hot one right now, but he is. So putting the spotlight firmly on him as the new guy and showing how he's changed as part of the club, like obviously my first note on this was all in capitals, Regal on commentary because he's so good. And commentary were doing a really good job of putting over, like, look how much more violent Wheeler Yuta is in this match. Because at one point he just like mounted one of them and just started like pummeling his face. And it was like, Blackpool Combat Club, man. Like, that's what they do. It's great.
You can see the effect taking hold on him in real time. You know? If he went out there and he was the same Wheeler Yuta from a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't think it would have been as effective. But you go out there and you can already see it working. You can see him getting better, more aggressive, what have you. And that is just good storytelling. It's just simple. It's effective. Even I think as for the match itself, I thought the match was like, it was fine.
Yeah.
I was 100% invested in one side and 0% invested in the other side, you know? And that's fine. Obviously, they need to have like a really big decisive win, even though it was a roll-up. But you know what I mean? They're not going to give a lot to the ass boys, the ass club, you know, the butt boys. But I don't know. I really look forward to when they have a 6-man tag against, like, you know, the Undisputed Era, and it's amazing. And people are cheering for both sides, you know, and there's a lot to look forward to here. There's a lot to look forward to with this group. And to answer the question that is the title of this video, I do believe that this is the best thing in wrestling currently.
Yes. So good. I am so excited. I also loved at the start just a very quick little thing as well that I really appreciated. Like one of the first things that Regal did when he came onto commentary was saying, "Oh, I was just showing Wheeler Yuta this little technique for doing this thing where you get the headlock and you put the elbow in the ribs." And I was like, it's little things like that that just show that he's like training him, so you can see his progression. So now when he starts getting wins, because you haven't seen Wheeler Yuta get that many wins on TV. Now he's starting to get wins. It's because he's being trained by William Regal. Like he's got a justification for starting to get wins. It's
right. Because like we kind of said, I think last week when we were talking about his series of matches with Moxley, where it's like the first one he got beaten like a minute, and then it was like a little bit better. And now, of course, the last match he was like right in the thick of things. I like that they are showing why he is now having closer matches and better, better performances. Because a lot of the time it's just like, well, why is it that a month ago he got beat in a minute and now he's like a main event caliber wrestler? But if you actually explain the story and, go into more detail about his training and such, it's a lot easier to rationalize that in your mind. Your suspension of disbelief is a lot easier maintained because of the way that they tell stories.
Also, Blackpool Combat Club versus House of Black. I really want that as a match.
The House of Blackpool Combat Club.
Oh, the House of Blackpool Combat Club. There it is. Well, we should get into some of your Ultra Chats. Send those into WrestleTalk.com/support. We're going to go through all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. On the subject of the Blackpool Combat Club, Plan R says, whether you like it or not, learn to love it because the Blackpool Combat Club is the best thing going today. Woo! Andy is a close second. No, he isn't. Say well done, Pete. Well done, Tempest. Do not say well done, Andy. Charles Berg says, everybody has a hill they would die on. Mine is that Bryan Danielson is the best wrestler to ever live. There is nobody as good as he is. And I mean alive, retired, or dead. But this whole faction is great. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
If you had said a year ago that Daniel Bryan is the greatest wrestler to ever live, I probably wouldn't take a hard stance against you, but it wouldn't be an argument that I would make, just, from having been in WWE for 10 years and such. It has an effect on my perception of a person. But after a year or so, even 6 months in AEW, it's like, yeah, buy it, Yeah.
Like if someone says that, I'm not going to disagree with you.
Exactly. Now, if you said it, I'd probably be like, you could convince me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tails P said, I thought for sure Yuta would put one of the ass boys in the Regal stretch. I don't think I even know what his finisher is. I also hope we get a no DQ where he pulls the brass knucks from his tights. Oh, all of those. Yes,
These
I like it all.
Ideas.
Yeah.
I really love things I like people taking a move from a rival or something and integrating it into their repertoire. The same way that Moxley uses the Regal knee, I think Wheeler Yuta using the Regal stretch, I think that's very tasty.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea.
I love the sound of that. That sounds great. On the subject of AEW in general, Mayor of Painesville Dan says, hey guys, hope you're doing well. Wish you guys and everyone watching a happy Easter weekend. Can't be here live today, but I want to quickly chat on one thing. Dustin Rhodes versus CM Punk, the best in the world, takes on Punk. Match of the year right there.
I did think of Dan when I saw all of this.
Me too. We'll talk about that more later, but yeah, Dustin Rhodes versus CM Punk is happening on Dynamite. Hannah Allen says, well, fudge me sideways. Give me a moment over these two. Sexy Adams match was epic. Paige is wonderful and all, but I'm holding out for this Cole era. I did like him more with the Bucks. Do love me a good story, though. Omega, lots of love. Hashtag jam that jam. Hashtag LAW444 life. Thank you so much, Hannah. We'll talk about more about that match later, but yes, fun.
Yes, fun. I miss Kenny Omega.
Yep.
I just saw someone put a clip on Twitter a couple days ago of the segment where he's talking with Evoludo in the ring like last summer, and he's like, Evoludo, what? Tell me, what's the capital of Thailand? He's like, are we playing trivia today, Mr. Omega? Okay, and he kicks him in the nuts. He's like, it's Bangkok, baby. I was like, I love Kenny Omega, and I miss him dearly. You know, I want him to be as healthy as possible because holy hell, what he was going through at the end of that title run, how he was able to have a match that good against Hangman Page, he might be the best wrestler of all time. Like, with dealing with vertigo and the ring is spinning as you're running, like in Madman. So I hope he sorts himself out and comes back healthy. But I do miss Kenny Omega a lot. Like, imagine, look how good Revolution was. Put a Kenny Omega match in there.
Yeah.
That much better.
Yeah. Like, I didn't miss him at first because he'd been on top for so long. And because it was like almost refreshing in a way to just have like a product that didn't have Kenny on it. And now I'm past that. And now I'm like, well, I want Kenny back. I want him to do some good matches. you know?
You see, that's like the benefit of giving guys time off. Because it makes you miss them.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to see them. Oh, man. Like, yeah, it's a simple concept, really. Like, you give them a really big run at the top, and then you give them some time off, and then you bring them back, and everyone's like, Kenny's back! And now he's like, not to say a big star again, because he was never not a big star, but you know what I mean? If you took anybody off TV, look at Miro. I miss Miro, too.
Same.
I missed Moxley. You take the big star off TV, it makes me miss them.
Yep, absolutely. Zoe Sung said, Hikaru Shida, the samurai Pokemon. This Pokemon is very best in AEW. The only reason why I thought the women's division was fine until last Dynamite, she looks better in a white suit than I look in anything. Her ability to nullify bad booking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair. She does look great in a white suit. We'll get into more of your Ultra Chats later. Keep sending those into WrestleTalk.com/support. But let's go through the rest of Rampage. Then we'll go through SmackDown after that as well. So Rampage opened up with Blackpool Combat Club versus Gunn Club, which we spoke about. We then had Butcher squash the Jobber. This was quite quick.
This was very quick. And I'm of two minds about this because one side of me goes, why was this on TV? The other side of me says, well, he's having a singles match on TV next week, so they're giving him a win to build that up. So I was like, that's good. And it was quick. So, like, but at the same time, I listened to the crowd and I was like, well, the Butcher, I can't believe that the Butcher came out and he was like the star of the match. You know, he was the advertised, like, he's the featured performer of the match. I was like, well, that's really odd. But if it's only going to take a few minutes, I guess more power to them. It was just, I don't know. It was, I don't usually see this on TV. I feel like this is something that would usually take place on Dark.
I quite like this personally. My only minor criticism of it, he should have done more than one powerbomb to make it more overt that he was sending a message to Wardlow. That is it. That's my
fair.
thing.
That's fair.
Just do a whole powerbomb symphony and then win him because he's doing the Wardlow thing. Because he's facing Wardlow. That's it. But I enjoyed this. Butcher gets a win. I like Butcher. He's great.
I like Butcher.
I'm happy.
God, he's gotten himself in shape.
Oh, hasn't he just?
It's ridiculous.
He looks great.
Yeah.
Love it. Dustin Rhodes is backstage and he does a promo. This was like out of nowhere, like a really emotional promo being like, this has dream match written all over it. This is a dream opponent for me. This is something that I've wanted for ages. I'm challenging you, the best in the world, CM Punk. And I was like, one, why? Two, I believe you. Like, I believe that this is something that you've wanted for ages and that you really, really want to do. It was a really good promo. Don't know how I feel about the match, but it's a really good promo. I'm okay.
Yeah,
it's a match.
It's weird. It's one of those things where, like you said, one, why? But two, I believe you. So that kind of nullifies the why. I feel like that's just kind of like, well, he wants it. And at the end of the day, I don't know that I need more of a reason than that. If he's just like, because this is a place where you can't just like challenge people for the sake of competition. and wins and losses matter. And he's just like, I want to test myself. I want to have a match against the best in the world. I want to wrestle CM Punk. I was like, all right, that's justification enough for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think it's hilarious that like CM Punk's going to go week to week from having a match with Penta to having a match with Dustin Rhodes. I feel like those are about as two separate opponents as you could possibly get in AEW. But it does make me appreciate the quality of their roster that you can have both.
That's true. But also, they're so similar, Tempest. They both have face paint.
Ah, you're right.
They're the same wrestler.
What was I thinking?
Of course.
I hope if I think this match still will be good.
Mm-hmm.
This match is great. Sure. My hat goes off to them. I don't know where we really kind of go with Dustin Rhodes because he was very heavily implying that the end is near for him in the ring. And I feel like this is about where we would have gotten Cody Dustin 2 or something of that nature. Point, like I would have to believe that the send-off of Dustin Rhodes would have involved Cody in some way.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I don't know what they're going to come up with now, but we'll see. I give them the benefit of the doubt that it will be a good idea.
Yep. We then had another Owen Hart qualifier with Ruby Soho versus Robyn Renegade. I knew diddly dick about Robyn Renegade before this match.
I remembered one thing. I remember that either she tweeted or her sister tweeted, watch Rampage tonight where my sister's going to lick some ass.
Is it?
That was like a few weeks ago or a month ago, whatever. I remember that. I was like, oh yeah, that was you guys.
That is very good. I thought commentary did a phenomenal job in this match to not only make you care about Robyn Renegade, to put her over as a legitimate competitor, while also pointing out her inexperience. Like they handled and juggled so many different things at the same time, and they put her over while also making Ruby Soho look better, while also exposing why Robyn Renegade has potential for the future, but isn't quite there right now, which justifies her loss here. It was just so many different plates spinning at the same time, and they just managed it wonderfully. I thought commentary did such a good job here. Really, really good stuff.
People get upset if you say this sort of thing, but I've had that kind of week, and I don't care anymore. You know how we talk about -1s all the time? I think the reason I like AEW programming so much is because they have a lot of +1s. Like the commentary, where in WWE, the commentary a lot of time is a detraction.
Yep.
Here it's like they've added so much to the match in this, Ruby Soho Robyn Renegade match, which I was watching and I was enjoying moderately. I thought it was a good little match, but it wasn't the featured match of the night by any means. It wasn't something I was locked into, but they added so much. And if you can add to a match, that gets you a +1 and that bumps your show up. It's the little things. And really commentary is not a little thing, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a little thing.
Yeah. They had a little twin magic going on in this match, as she has an identical sister, Charlotte Renegade, as commentary told me, because I didn't know that before the match. And I thought these were actually like good twin magic spots. Like I didn't, when the Bella Twins did twin magic, I never really thought about like what you could do with that spot. But already watching this one, I was like, this is already like better than what the Bella Twins were doing. Like it made so much more sense. Like logistically, it made sense, and logically, it made sense. It was just like things where she got a really good like near fall off a distraction where one of them went under when they came out the other side, and then boom, roll up kind of thing. It's like a well worked spot. It was nice, but it wasn't enough. Ruby Soho got the win. Fun.
Yeah, fun. More Ruby Soho, please.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough because I am of two minds when it comes to Ruby Soho. Not to go off on a tangent here, but I love Ruby Soho. I want to see her succeed and everything. She strikes me as one of the signings that they've had where it's just like, okay, you're going to get your turn, but it's not right now. Like they did the Britt Baker title reign, and Ruby Soho wasn't going to be the person to beat Britt Baker. That was always going to be Thunder Rosa. So you have to get to Thunder Rosa first, and you're going to have Jade Cargill be the TBS champion. So that doesn't give Ruby Soho a lot to do other than have a good showing in the TBS Championship Tournament.
Yeah.
But I would have her on TV more. I would give her a rivalry the same way that Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb have a really good rivalry. I just pair her off with somebody. But I think her time is coming. And I think some people need to chill a little bit on they've wasted Ruby Soho or they've ruined Ruby Soho. It's just like her time is coming. You know, everybody who gets signed, I believe, like, has their turn is coming. And they didn't do a bad job of promoting and pushing Ruby Soho right out of the gate. Like, if it was like the Miro thing where the first 6 months of Miro were just awful, and I hated everything that he did for like 6 months and then loved everything that he's done since, that would be a little bit different. But we'll see how this goes. I got my fingers crossed. I want the best for Ruby Soho.
I am looking forward to her having another good showing in the tournament because I'm assuming she's going to. So
I mean,
yeah.
I really don't know who's going to win the tournament, like either of them. It could be anybody, and that's exciting. Ruby could win it.
Yeah.
There's no reason she couldn't. I don't know that. Yeah, like if she won, I would not be disappointed.
Nope. Me neither.
So we'll see.
And then we got the main event, which was Adam Cole versus Adam Page for the AEW World Title, Texas Death Match. But most importantly, there was a very good little Sport WrestleTalk sign. Hell yeah. Look at that. Thanks to that person in particular for bringing that sign. There's Sport WrestleTalk. This is great. Yeah, that. Bring more signs to wrestling shows. So yeah, that was nice. So Texas Death Match can only win by knockout or submission. That's the rules. One of my first notes in this match is this is a bit of fun, isn't it? Because it was just them having a bit of fun. It was them doing like classic Adam Cole no DQ match spots. Get the two chairs out. Oh, I'm gonna turn them so they're other things, and then he goes on them every time. Cole, stop it!
Stop doing that. You're gonna break your back.
Yeah. But this was really, really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed all of this. Hangman doing a top rope fall away slam, and he threw Adam Cole directly onto the pile of chairs. Was a great spot. Loved all the
fall away slam.
Oh,
it's my weird favorite thing. I just like a fall away slam. Yeah. I like it. No real reason. I just like it. So when I get to see like a super top rope fall away slam onto chairs, I'm like, yes, best fall away slam ever.
And the finish came in this match after a bunch of fun. The finish has seemingly been controversial. Seemingly. So my issue is not the same issue that everyone else has. My little issue is that Hangman Page gets out, he ties up Adam Cole's arm onto the ropes, goes out and gets a chair with barbed wire on it, and then doesn't hit Adam Cole with it. I'm like, what are you doing? Hangman. Hit him with the thing. Like, I never like that spot where the babyface is like, oh, I shouldn't hit him with this because it will hurt him. And it's like, yeah, he's trying to like kill you. Just hit him with the thing. Stop it. You look like a numpty. So then he put the chair down and he untied Adam Cole. And it's like, what are you doing? And then Adam Cole hits him in the nuts. I'm like, well, yeah, what do you expect, idiot?
I can kind of buy it when the two people involved used to be friends.
Sure.
You know, like I can kind of buy it the same way that like Johnny Gargano gave Tommaso Ciampa one last chance in their New Orleans match.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the end, it's like, I don't want to kill you. And then Ciampa like tried to hit him again. It's like, all right, now I will though. And that's kind of the same thing I got here.
Sure.
Except that like Adam Page wasn't smart enough to avoid a low blow from Adam Cole. Like Johnny Gargano was smart enough to avoid whatever Ciampa tried to do to him. But you know, hey ho. And then controversy.
Yeah. So Hangman gets the barbed wire off the chair, wraps it around his arm. They brawl out onto the apron, and he takes off the barbed wire and shoves it around Adam Cole's head. And it falls in a certain way that he has a crown of barbed wire around his head on Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Then Hangman picks him up, does a deadeye through the table on the outside, and Adam Cole gets counted, which was great. I don't think it was supposed to be a crown of thorns. It's just barbed wire that he put around his head for a deadeye that just fell in a certain way that made it look like it was supposed to be a crown of thorns. I do not think this was intentional at all. But a lot of people seem to really care about it.
I think it might have been intentional.
Ah.
I also don't care.
Yeah, there's that.
The richest thing that I've heard is like Eric Bischoff clutching his pearls on Twitter about this. Like, oh, controversy creates cash. Oh, I can't believe they would do something like this. Like make fun of Jesus. Oh, they would make fun of Jesus.
Love it.
Sure, pal.
Uh-huh.
Sure. Whatever you say, Eric Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
One good idea, man. Anyway,
Hangman retained.
I don't care. Listen, that might upset people. I don't care. Make fun of Christianity. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't care.
It's whatever. It's cool.
Yeah. Jesus wrestled a match in AEW once. It was Jesus and like a dinosaur against someone and someone after the show. So maybe he'll come back and get his revenge.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a bit as well as Adam Cole right in the finish of this match. There was a bit where Adam Cole said, "You'll never beat Kenny Omega, and you'll never beat me." Was like the thing that he was saying before he went into the finish. Which Hangman's already beaten Kenny Omega, and he's already beaten you. But that's not the point. Kenny Omega's got mentioned on TV. Tempest. Kenny Omega return confirmed. Probably not, but it's cool that he's still getting mentioned. Like they're keeping that plate spinning for when Kenny comes back, and like the whole Cole and Kenny interaction, how their friendship's going to be. I'm really curious to see what that's going to look like when he does come back. So, yeah,
it's
fun.
It's interesting, isn't it? You know, I definitely don't want to say I've been disappointed by the Adam versus Adam feud.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still a little bit. I'm not all the way there on Hangman's reign.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because he doesn't feel like the star of the show.
I'm with you.
There are a number of things on each week's AEW programming that I look forward to significantly more than whatever Hangman Page was doing, to the point that he wasn't on Dynamite this week and I didn't notice. And I was like, that's the world champion? That's probably not good, you know? Whereas like I care more about the Blackpool Combat Club. I care more about what CM Punk is doing. I might even care more about what Wardlow and MJF are doing.
Yeah.
And I thought that once we got to the Adam versus Adam thing, we would get a lot more of like the really deep storytelling of, you know, that we built up to Hangman's reign with. And we just hadn't really gotten it yet. Like all of his matches have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first Danielson match, of course, within an hour is fantastic. One of the best TV matches ever. The second one, almost as good. The Texas Death match against Lance Archer was, I thought, great. And then the match at Revolution with Adam Cole was great. And then this was great. So like, and even the Dante Martin match I thought was really good. All of his title defenses have been really, really fun. But when his reign was built up to with such storyline, like heavy emotional storytelling behind it, to have gotten really none since has been kind of disappointing to me. Like everything that they're doing on BTE with Hangman and the Dark Order should be playing out on television.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they just don't feel like the Dark Order is like a main event act or something like that. They don't want the goofy comedy stable paired with their world champion. But that's kind of why I cared about him.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping it keeps like I keep hoping that we get back to that point, but I feel like we're closer to the end of his reign than the start now.
Yeah, and I feel like we might not get back to that until Kenny comes back, and that might be the thing that kind of like kickstarts a really interesting story for Hangman. However Kenny is involved in that, I don't know. but I feel like that might be the thing that kickstarts the interesting stuff with Hangman again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, he's having a good reign. I wouldn't call it bad. It's just not quite the level that we wanted and how it was built up to. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
But that was Rampage, and it was a bit of fun. That's what it was. It was a bit of fun. 5 out of 5. I got nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go 5 out of 5. The middle was just kind of like there. I'd probably give this like a 4 out of 5 show with a 5 out of 5 main event.
That's fair. I think it has a 5 out of 5 start, 5 out of 5 end, and nothing bad in the middle. I was like,
I feel like that's most shows these days.
Yeah, it's true.
And to be fair, maybe that is just how you book wrestling shows. It's if you're writing an essay, strong point at the beginning, strong point at the end, weakest point in the middle.
And if you're doing my GM mode on WWE 2K22 and the partsFUNknown series of Monday Night War, then you want a good opener and a good main event, and then you can dip it in the mid-card match. That's how the booking works. Anyway, let's talk about SmackDown, shall we? Relatively quickly, because I don't want to talk about it for too long.
There's also nothing to talk about, I feel like.
Yeah, so
this was a very nothing happening SmackDown.
I got accused in my edited review that went up on the WrestleTalk channel. J'accuse. There was one comment that I saw that said, "You really overanalyze WWE," and I was like, "I don't feel like I do. I feel like I analyze WWE."
Yeah,
and they're bad. So the logic like falls apart for a lot of stuff, and there were certain things that the logic just didn't make any sense to me on this show, which we'll talk about when we get there. Yeah. But the opening
we know each other so well at this point. Like I know what you're talking about, and we haven't discussed any of these points.
No, not at all.
But go on.
It started off though. I really enjoyed this opening segment, which was RKBro coming out, doing a fun little promo. They did a little bit of comedy to start. They called out the Usos about the tight unification match. The Usos came out. Jay, I thought, cut a great promo. I thought he is so good. I really like the dynamic of Jay cutting this huge fiery promo with Jimmy just throwing in one-liners and his hype man kind of thing. I love that dynamic. I think their promo was awesome. And then Randy Orton came back with another awesome promo where because I love the way that they don't feel like, even if they don't feel like scripted promos. 100%. Each of them has the ability to make it not feel like a scripted promo. Randy was just like, I've been setting records in WWE for 20 years. Oh, what was that one more thing? Oh yeah, we accept your title unification match, by the way. And it was just the way he was fired up and do it, he didn't take any pauses through the promo. It was just it was really good. Really, really good stuff. Hot start. Accepted the match. I was like, cool. That's a match I'm really looking forward to. WrestleMania Backlash. I'm intrigued as to who's going to win, because I think either way, there's story possibilities out of both. Fun. Good start. I enjoyed this.
I did too. I thought it was a good promo, and it's weird because I don't think of Randy Orton as a promo guy. You know, I know he can cut good promos, and he's talked about when he turned on Edge before WrestleMania a couple of years ago, and they did that whole thing, and he cut really good promos. He had good character work. I don't feel like he's the kind of guy to have a long list of great promos that I could pull from. But this was just I thoroughly enjoyed watching a Randy Orton promo. He looks like he's having fun, which makes me have fun. Which again, if you know anything about the situation, I'm really happy for Randy Orton that he's gotten away from less than stellar storylines and is just wrestling again and having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's really cool. I'm happy for him.
It kind of permeates through his whole thing. It was like in the main event, which we'll talk about more later. But he just looks like he's having so much fun, and I'm just enjoying earnest babyface Randy Orton, which is weird.
Yeah,
that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. This Randy Orton. I've never been a big babyface Randy Orton fan. Most, and I think that's fair because most of the time babyface Randy Orton has been fairly bland, but when he's doing this is just fun.
Yeah.
And to me, the whole RKBro run has been fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't get to see a whole lot of just fun things in WWE. And this is a genuinely fun team.
So, good starting promo. I wonder how it will get undermined on this show. So, RK-Bro go backstage, and this is almost certainly a nitpick, and I understand that. But when it actually compromises the story,
it's not a nitpick. It's just dumb.
Okay. RKBro go backstage to Adam Pearce. Any segment involving Adam Pearce these days just doesn't make any sense. They ask for the title unification match that they just accepted. And they say, can we get it made official? And Adam Pearce says, as of last Friday, higher-ups were still deliberating as to whether to have the match. But tonight I can give you Jimmy Uso versus Riddle. Let's break that down. Okay. Who are the higher-ups? What are they deliberating? RK-Bro only just accepted the challenge for the match now, so why were they deliberating it last Friday before they accepted the challenge? So, and if they have been doing that before they then accepted the challenge, then what did RK-Bro accepting the challenge have to do with anything? Because if Charlotte Flair can say no to Ronda Rousey getting an I Quit match, and then the match gets made anyway, then the whole promos where they say, I accept or I reject, mean diddly dick. There's nothing
Absolutely
to it.
Nothing.
It just doesn't make any difference. There's literally no meaning to any of these promo segments. As much fun as it was in the opening, if them accepting the challenge doesn't actually change anything, then what's the point? I don't know. It's just stupid. Stupid.
You're right, Pete.
And that really wound me up.
Stupid. Yeah.
That really got under my skin.
I just think it's like hilarious that like the company that doesn't have an on-screen authority figure, you never have these issues.
Yeah, right.
It's almost like you don't need on-air authority figures anymore.
Yeah. So that bit wound me up.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it for more than a few seconds, the logic just falls apart.
Yeah.
And then we got Rhea Ripley backstage, who was just with Liv Morgan again.
Mm-hmm.
That wound me up too, because for the last week, they've been telling quite a good story with Liv Morgan of how she's fighting in Rhea Ripley's absence. She's fighting for the team, and she's trying to get these wins to build momentum for her team because they're going to get the women's tag team title match. And she wanted to build the authority on behalf of their team. Well, Rhea Ripley didn't do anything because she wasn't wrestling. She wasn't there. She didn't even accompany Liv Morgan to the ring. And her walking out on Liv Morgan before, probably going to be turning heel. That's like a really organic babyface story, so that Liv Morgan's fighting a lot, and then when she loses, going to be, oh, Rhea, you're terrible, heartbreaking, oh no. So then Rhea Ripley was back here alongside Liv Morgan like nothing had changed. And I'm like, guys, why can't you tell a story? Because now I get the feeling that they didn't even know that they were telling that story with Liv Morgan. And they were just giving us some matches just to keep the plate spinning and didn't realize what the implications of her winning those matches was. Guys, Rhea Ripley then had a match against Naomi and she won. And the match was really fun. But I don't care because you just undermined the whole story you were doing. This annoyed me.
I like it's weird because I don't know that I want to see Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan break up. You know?
Yeah.
So if they just forget about that and move on with a new direction of them together as a team, I'd be like, you got to pick your battles, I guess, and I don't care enough to be upset about it, you know? And I don't want this to sound gross, but as a member of the community, I must say, I really like Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and not in a gross, oh my god, girls kind of way, but I feel like they have very cute bisexual energy together.
Sure, yeah.
You know? They're not in a relationship and whatever,
I mean,
but
they played that up.
Sure, they jump into each other's arms and they look into each other's eyes and stuff. I just look at them and I was like, you two are really cute together.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them as a team, and I want to see them continue to be this really nice, wholesome, cute babyface team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these two kind of goth. One of them's kind of a goth. I don't quite know what Liv Morgan is, but she dresses in black now, though. You know what I mean? She wasn't a goth before. She's just changed the color of her clothes. But I don't know. I just like their pairing a lot. I don't know. I just like it. I think they're a cute pair together. The same way that I think, Sasha Banks and Naomi are a good pair together. You know,
Yeah.
these are good teams that I don't want to see split up after 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if they're going to do the split, which I'm assuming they are, though to be fair, with this week, they might have just abandoned it.
Who knows?
But, you know, the reports were saying that Rhea Ripley might be joining Edge's new faction, which I'm all for, by the way, if that does happen. Then, like, if you're going to do the split, then don't do this thing. Or if you're going to keep them together, then do this thing, I guess, and that's fine. If they're actually going to stay together, I guess it makes sense, but then don't do the thing you just did last week. Make your mind up is what I'm saying. Pick a story is all I'm trying to say. Jesus.
This is my favorite description of somebody. A bubblegum goth. I'm not as well versed in goth culture
no, me neither. Just
as I should be. So if that's a thing, there you go. Liv Morgan, bubblegum goth.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a fun match though between the two, but Rhea Ripley did just win. So now Naomi's lost and Sasha's lost. So now they're just starting to look a bit bad now.
Well,
because before it was like Liv Morgan just scrapes out the win, but now it's like they're just losing now.
Mm-hmm.
So
you do not want to be a champion in WWE. People need to realize.
You do not.
If this was real, people would be actively avoiding these championships, like every championship except for the tippy top one, because otherwise you are just a geek and a loser. So
the Usos backstage. Go ahead.
This tag match should be like a really exciting prospect.
Yeah,
with a really easy story to tell, and I'm hoping that they still have a really good match at the pay-per-view. But it's the women's tag titles, and I don't have faith that they'll have more than like 5 minutes and a dumb finish and a breakup angle. I just want to see these 4 women have a good tag match, and I know that they can, and they would. So yeah.
The Usos backstage ignore Kayla Braxton and go into Roman Reigns' locker room. Can't wait to see Reigns later to figure out what's going on with his title that we still don't know about yet. We got a recap of Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin splitting up. Happy Corbin says that he's going to beat up Madcap Moss or whatever. Drew Gulak is a backstage interviewer here. And he's doing a very good job.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. But he's also Drew Gulak, who's a very good wrestler. And you know what? Yeah. I will hold my hands up here, Tempest, and I will say I was wrong. I thought that Madcap Moss was going to be the cringy babyface who just makes the same jokes but plays it for laughs now. But he said in his promo that his old jokes were terrible. So that is step 1. And then he did the Los Lotharios kiss cam on his butt. And I was like, well, never mind. Maybe I'm right. Because it's not great.
He's still going to be a funny man, Pete.
Well, yeah.
His jokes are going to change, but it's still WWE writing comedy for somebody.
Yeah.
I have more to say about Drew Gulak, but I'll wait for the bigger segment.
Yeah. Madcap beat Humberto.
Quick match. It was fine.
It was all right. Madcap looked fine. Angel is really upset with Humberto after the match. I think we're getting Madcap versus Angel next week. I think.
I hope that's all it is. I was like, I swear to God, if you break up the Los Lotharios for no reason.
Yeah. Charlotte Flair, backstage, goes to Adam Pearce and says, who made my match? Because I said no to Ronda last week, and yet we're having an I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash. And I was like, great question, Charlotte. Great question. But we didn't get the answer because Drew Gulak really rudely, honestly, comes in the middle of what Charlotte said. Like, hey, Adam Pearce, what do you think of my interview? Did I do okay? Did I do a good job? And I was like, Drew, she's talking. That's pretty rude, mate. But Charlotte Flair says, actually, you know what, Drew? You should interview me in the ring. Let's go out right now. And they go out to the ring, and Drew Gulak does a great job interviewing Charlotte Flair because, again, he's a charismatic man. He's good. He's asking good questions and whatever. Yeah, it's good. Charlotte Flair then said that it was ridiculous that she tapped out at WrestleMania. Good delusional heel stuff. And she beat up Drew Gulak, forced him to tap and then say, I quit, which in the figure 8, which I thought was an effective segment. It just sucks to be Drew Gulak, I guess.
A little bit. It's the same thing because it didn't happen on the show, But for anybody who wasn't aware, LA Knight was working before SmackDown as a manager, where it's like Drew Gulak and LA Knight are very talented individuals. And Drew Gulak would make a good interview character.
Yeah.
You know what he would make a better? A wrestler. Because he's a good wrestler. Yeah. Like, he's a good performer. He is. He's a really good performer. Same thing with LA Knight. And they keep taking these, like, they keep trying to fit the round peg into the square hole. And I don't quite understand why. You know? Like, maybe they just feel like they have enough wrestlers and they want an interview person anyway. So he's getting on TV, which he wasn't doing otherwise, and he's being involved in segments where he can show off his personality. So that's good. But you can also just book a better wrestling show and let him do that as a wrestler. You know? So, like, I guess I will say thank you for the table scraps that I'm being given, but you can also just give us a steak.
Yeah.
You know?
Here's a counterpoint, though. I don't think Drew Gulak's going to be interviewing anyone ever again. He'll just be taken off TV again because this was set up for this 1 week where Charlotte could beat him up and then that's it.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
But the same thing applies to LA Knight. LA Knight, I'm sure, will be a very good manager.
Yeah, he can talk.
He would be a better wrestler.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And also, if you don't know the story, no cheating if you do. If you don't know who he was managing, have a guess in the chat. If you do know, don't put anything in the chat because that's cheating and then you'll give away the answer. But if you don't know, have a guess because I'm so curious if anyone's actually going to guess who it is. Anyway, after that, we got a recap of Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre from last week. And then we got Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre from this week, which was the same match, but a couple minutes longer. Same finish and everything. Count out. Sami ran away. Same thing.
I went back and found my tweet about SmackDown being a rerun. Evergreen. Evergreen content. The rest of the show wasn't as much of a rerun, but like this segment was. They just copy and pasted from last week.
This sure was. Also, they had one of the most insufferable segments I think they've probably ever done, and that is saying something. When they were talking about how they beat the Super Bowl, and they were reading out all these numbers,
they were reading out bring this up.
All these numbers about how they beat the Super Bowl in social media stats, and Michael Cole would say a thing, and then Pat McAfee would just go stupendous after each one, and it's stupendous got more and more annoying. And I liked Pat McAfee. I think he did a great job at WrestleMania, and I really like him sometimes in small doses. But here, when Michael Cole was just being like, "We're so great, people watched our videos," and Pat McAfee's like, "Oh, stupendous," I'm like, guys, shut up, because it is so annoying. It was infuriating watching this. Man, this really got under my skin.
Yeah. I mean, even without the insufferable delivery, I can't stand these morons with their fake numbers. Like, yeah, if you made WrestleMania 7 days worth of shows in a row, I'm sure you'd beat whatever else too. Yeah. God damn, like they're so the way they are.
Yeah.
It's the longest running weekly episode. No, it's not. You're lying to people. Yeah. Like, enough. It's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious that they're just like touting their fake numbers to make them seem somehow bigger than the goddamn Super Bowl.
Which
like, if the Super Bowl was 8 hours long on back-to-back nights, you know how many impressions they would get? About 100 times what WrestleMania would.
Yeah.
So please spare me.
And also, even if they beat the Super Bowl in numbers, whoop-de-doo. Like, Jesus Christ, guys. But they're so busy being like, oh, we're so good. Well done, us. We're the greatest. Like, shut up. This does not endear me to your company at all.
Like, if they did it, I wouldn't have a problem. It's the fact that they're lying.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah, if you actually outperformed the Super Bowl, that would be, like, really impressive.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
It's not how that works. You can't just make the search parameters go back to January and be like, look at all the people that are talking about WrestleMania. Look at all the things that people have said and be like, oh, well, these are the people that talked about the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. But here's the things that happened at WrestleMania. I can't deal. That is a nitpick, but it's been happening forever, and I'm tired of hearing them say that Raw is like the longest running weekly episodic nonsense, because it's not. It's not. You know?
Yeah.
And they just lie. They're liars. They're liars who lie.
They are liars who lie. Ricochet had an Intercontinental title match next against Jinder Mahal, which was fine. It was a bit of a showcase for Ricochet. He did some Ricochet things. That was fun. Have Ricochet do more Ricochet things. Cool.
Yeah. That's all there is to it. It's fine.
Also, Sami and Drew are going to have a lumberjack match next week.
Does this end in a count-out?
Yeah. Because it's going to build to Backlash where they'll do like a cage match or a no DQ or something like that, or a falls count anywhere.
Falls count anywhere or a cage, I would imagine would.
Yeah.
It'll be one or the other.
Okay. Backstage, we got a recap of the dissension with Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. And in case you thought that this story might be good, Michael Cole calls Butch a petulant child. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
He was.
I know that's what they're treating him like, but you don't have to say it, Cole. Jesus. Okay. They then cut a promo saying that he needs to redirect his anger. And he says he's redirected his anger to the New Day. Cool. Now, I've been told that this next bit is supposed to be a reference to a thing. Didn't come across that way to me at all. I just thought this was bad. Because Butch says, New Day, that's where his anger is. And he walks off. And Sheamus turns back and like, see? Got him under control, New Day. Then Ridge Holland turns to him and he's like, Sheamus, I've lost Butch. And it's like, what?
He's a 5-year-old. They will have him in a stroller or on a leash.
Yeah. So, one, how can you lose him? He's right there. He's just off camera, like right over there. How have you lost him? You watched him walk away. You know where he is. As soon as someone walks out of camera shot, they stop existing. It's just what happens in WWE. Butch is a child. He's a petulant child who goes missing, and he has his two dads of Sheamus and Ridge Holland who had to take care of him. They've lost him. Next segment, Butch attacks Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, and who's there immediately? It's Sheamus and Ridge Holland. So you didn't lose him? Guys,
he was still in view when they turned around to go find him. They were like, oh, there he is.
Like,
yeah.
And someone was saying, like, oh, it's supposed to be a silly comedy thing because it's a reference to this movie or whatever. And I'm like, right, but like, it's bad. It's a bad segment. If your reference undermines the product, it's a bad reference. It doesn't make any sense. WWE don't know how to tell stories, Tempest.
No, they don't. It's getting a lot of Scrappy Doo comments. He is Scrappy Doo.
Oh yeah, he is Scrappy Doo. That's how it works.
The worst.
Lacey Evans.
Doo. Yes, let's talk about a good thing.
Lacey Evans cut another really good promo.
I thought this one was better than last week.
The content of the promo was better than last week. The packaging of it was worse, in my humble opinion. So yeah, I think that she cut a very, very good promo here, talking about, the abuse that she suffered from her father, his struggles with addiction, how she has incorporated that into herself, and saying that this is why she's a great wrestler and the lessons that she's taken from that and how she's coped with it in her life and all that stuff. And that's really, really good. She had a backdrop of the red, white, and blue behind her, and they had this like emotional music underneath. And I personally felt like that undercut what she was saying. Not completely. It was still a very, very good promo. This is the best Lacey Evans has ever looked. But I think it would have just been so much better if it was just her talking candidly, kind of like last week. Just makes it better, in my humble opinion.
Each their own. It didn't detract from the segment for me, but I don't know. I saw this and I was like, damn, why isn't Lacey like the champion right now? Which is not something I ever thought I would ever say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like this.
Very good, though.
Yeah. You know what I didn't like? What came immediately after. I gotta say, because what happened next was the Natalya, Shayna Baszler, Raquel Rodriguez backstage segment. And I want to give a shout out to Brian Rose of F4W, because he tweeted that his favorite WWE segments are the ones where it feels like it was written by an alien who has only ever like heard of human interaction, but hasn't quite got it down yet.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell was this segment? I need to corner a WWE writer and just say, explain yourself.
Yeah.
What were you trying to accomplish? I can understand what they were trying to accomplish with the Butch thing. It was dumb, but I can understand what they were trying to accomplish. What was the goddamn point of this?
So the first thing that annoyed me was it cut to Natalya and Shayna Baszler watching the TV. So they were watching Lacey Evans' promo, and they immediately, after Lacey's just been talking about abuse and her father's addiction and how that's changed her life, they go and just like sneer at it. It's like, that's like beyond heelish. That's like evil.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Cancelable things. Yeah. Like if you said that about a real person on Twitter, you'd be fired.
Yeah.
And I get that they're heels, but like, I don't know.
I feel like that's just like beyond heel behavior. To just hear them like pour the heart and just be like, huh, idiot. Like,
yeah. You know? Yeah. I feel like you're tiptoeing a line with this Lacey Evans story anyway.
Yeah.
You know? Because obviously there's very sensitive subject matter.
For sure.
And hence why you tiptoe, because they immediately follow it up with some nonsense like this.
Mm-hmm. So then, Tempest, would you like to try and explain what came immediately afterwards with Natalya and Shayna and Raquel?
So you've got Natalya and you've got Shayna, and they're like standing in the locker room, kind of just like rummaging through things.
Yeah.
They're just like taking clothes off hangers and being like, look at this shirt. Whatever. Meanwhile, Natalya is just like, all these new girls, they don't respect legends like us. Everybody's got a sob story now. And now there's this new girl putting her clothes all over the locker room. Who does she think she is? Meanwhile, the camera simply pans to Raquel Rodriguez sitting right behind Natalya, who then gets up and it's like, hi, I'm Raquel Rodriguez. Nice to meet you. And Natalya walks off and Shayna like half hands Raquel the shirt and half drops it. So it's like a really awkward, like, and meanwhile, Raquel's just smiling the whole time. Just, hi, I'm so-and-so. So you're either an idiot who didn't hear them talking S 2 feet from you.
Yeah.
Or the heels are blind and didn't see the giant babyface woman that they are talking S about 2 feet away.
Yeah.
Explain yourself. There's no way that this wasn't written by a chimp. You know, you give 100,000 chimps, 100,000 typewriters in an infinite amount of time, and you'll have a Pulitzer Prize winner. You'll never have that with wrestling. They'll never book wrestling, because then you get things like this.
Yeah.
I'm so baffled by this one.
And I saw someone in the, I can't remember if it was in the live chat or on Twitter or somewhere I saw this. Someone said you could have saved this segment, but in one very simple thing. Have Raquel crushed Natalya's hand in a handshake.
Yeah.
Just to show that she hurt her. Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Crush her, and Natalya's like, and like walks away. It's like, oh, so she heard you and she's angry about it. Great. Segment saved. Would it have been good? Oh, really? Would have been fine. It would have not been bad. Yes. Goodness me.
Oh,
Anyway.
Yeah. I couldn't comprehend this one.
Yeah. I mean, we're already over time, so I just quickly want to move on and talk about the main event. It was Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. It was fun. Riddle hit a really cool RKO to finish where like Jimmy popped him up and hit an RKO out of midair. That was really cool. Really like Randy's reaction. Like I said, earnest babyface Randy, him getting in the ring being like, let's go, Riddle! Like, proper, like, over the top was really good. He's doing great work right now. Riddle gets the pinfall victory. Good. Also, just because we can't finish on a nice thing, as they're celebrating afterwards, the graphic comes up. RKBro versus Usos at WrestleMania Backlash. It's like, so who made the match then? Why did that get made off screen? What was the point in having the conversation with Adam Pearce? Why can't you tell a story? Anyway, that was the show.
Yeah.
I don't know why this show broke me, Tempest, because it wasn't that bad. I've seen worse.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. I don't. It's like a 2 out of 5 show, but it was like an average show. It's just that this show is bad.
How the norm for SmackDown? 2.
Yeah. SmackDown's average is low.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's bad.
Goodness me.
Nothing happened on this show. Like, I like the Naomi Rhea match. Other matches were fine, but like, I like a promo here and there. Otherwise, it's just 2 hours of nothing. Like, they threw to a commercial saying, "Oh, when you come back, we're gonna see a video package about Madcap Moss." That is the opposite of like advertising. That is okay. Let me change the channel real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness me. That was not a good show. And also, where was Shinsuke? Where was Roman? Where's any sort of follow? We still don't know what Roman's doing with his title. And at this point, I'm convinced that WWE don't know either. Whether that's because of a potential Roman Reigns injury and they're trying to figure something out, or they just don't have any plans, because I would not put it past them to be like, let's build to this Reigns Lesnar thing, let's build to this Reigns Lesnar thing. And they have tunnel vision on Reigns versus Lesnar. And then they get there and then they're like, well, what do we do now? And they go, I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me.
Now they're like, okay, now we got to do Reigns versus Rock.
Yeah.
Well, we got a year before that. What do we do in the meantime?
Well, we'll just do the same thing that we did last year. We'll just pick a random person, make him seem like a legitimate contender, and then Roman will beat him, and then they'll go right back down to where they were. Sounds great.
So, if I had to guess, I would imagine they do Drew and Roman at SummerSlam.
I agree.
I don't know what you do until then.
Nope.
I have no idea what you do after that. I assume there's a draft after SummerSlam and you shake up the rosters. And although I guess he's got both belts, so I don't know. Like, just have wrestled the whole roster. I guess it doesn't really matter what brand he's on.
And
maybe they do Cody at SummerSlam.
I was going to say, like, you also have a story where Cody Rhodes needs to win the world title.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait
until
they
do Cody. They do Cody for the WWE title at SummerSlam, and they do Drew for the Universal title at SummerSlam, and you split up the unified, because they were never unified belts.
And Roman wins both of them. Good call, Tempest. Great. Sounds awesome.
Also possible. I don't know.
Anyway, I don't care enough. I'm done with the show.
You see how fantasy booking doesn't quite work the same way when you don't have faith?
Exactly.
Anyway, yes.
Well, we need to say thank you to some very special people. Those are a $25 and above Pledgehammers on our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. There's loads of extra bonus content over there. We've got Ollie and Luke are going to be reviewing NXT TakeOver Dallas this month. Jealous. What a show. Yeah. We're going to have a special WrestleTalk After Dark later this month as well, which should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if I can get that to work. And if you pledge at the $25 or above tier, get your own custom wrestling nickname, and it gets read out on a show much like this one. So thank you to Hannah A. Baby.
Yeah. Vito Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah. Colin McLeaner than Finn Balor.
Yeah. Angelic Angelo Masato.
Have a glass of sherry, Martel J. Simmons.
Yeah. Michael Jensen Radio.
Who wants to walk with Daniel Elias Chrysler? That's out of date now.
Yeah, it is.
Because he's Ezekiel.
You'll never get this name right. You'll never get this name right, you idiots. Matthew Zemajewski.
Joshua Weaver Cleavage. That's a bad name. You're welcome.
Why do I feel like that's one from Luke?
That one's from me, unfortunately.
Oh, dear. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah.
This is some kind of Patreon shout-out. Nate dropped surname.
The Wrestling Life.
Yeah. And Ari and Shafira, the Boozerweights.
Thank you so much, all of our Pledgehammers. Let's get into the rest of your Ultrachats here. Last chance to get those in at WrestleTalk.com/support on the subject of Blackpool Combat Club. Redman2490 says, do you think the Blackpool Combat Club should ever get a group entrance or should they stay separate? For now, they should stay separate. Maybe they can evolve to having a group entrance. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is one where they're fine either way. I don't really have too much of a preference. I think both would serve different purposes. So,
Matt Carney said, Tempest, it's quantum choice question time. Does AEW serve only its own needs? Does AEW serve both the audience's needs and then its own? Does AEW serve its audience only its audience's needs, or does AEW serve both its own needs and then its audience's? Nice mask.
Thank you. I'm confused by this question.
What's its priority? Does it serve its needs, solely its own needs, solely the audience's needs, its needs then its audiences, or its audiences then its?
I don't quite know what the difference is.
Because
they're, like that should be the same thing. Your goal, the whole point of the company should be to make your fans happy and give them the show that they want to see, which is a novel concept in the 21st century. Not a lot of people have done that, but I don't know. I think they're just the same. Like, not all the time. Like, there are things where like the fans don't like it, and you can see the separation of what the audience wants and what AEW is going to give you, like the end of Dynamite, which to be fair, Tony Khan has already come out and said was a mistake, so at least he's learning, but I don't know. I think they're the one and the same.
Nate S says, in quotation marks with alternating small and capital letters, you know that one. AEW's ruined Adam Cole. KOR was treated better in NXT. Me stares in Pete Dunne. Pete on all the shows this week doing great work, thank you. Peanuts on the up. Tempest is also there doing good stuff.
Tempest is also there.
Yeah, I've done every podcast except NXT this week. Hot damn.
God damn you. Like, you got out of all this. I still have to watch that show.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
You're welcome, Tempest.
Yeah. Also, I don't listen to people saying things like AEW has ruined Adam Cole. Like, that to me is just like, all right, let me just hit that mute button. Like,
like that's
your opinions are not worth listening to at that point in my view. It's not to say we can't have differing ones, but I'm just like, well, that's not true.
Blakey says, I thought Adam Cole said, you'll never be Kenny Omega, you'll never be me, which would make a lot more sense than saying he'll never beat them. Also, I think the barbed wire was not meant to have religious connotations. I agree. And also, that's probably what he said.
Could be, yeah.
Riot DR says, hey, yo, what is WWE doing? Raquel has a built-in badass vibe and she's just smiling. Pete Dunne, a top 10 technical wrestler, and he's a wild dog. At least they seem to be trying with Ricochet, so not all bad. Love you guys. Jam that jam. LAW for life. They are doing the bare minimum with Ricochet that I would expect.
Yeah. It would be so easy to get Ricochet over.
So easy.
You have him do one Ricochet match. He's the one guy who absolutely should never work the WWE style.
Yep.
Like, I don't know who I was trying to think about it last night while I was watching the show. Like, who would I pair him with? And the list is a lot shorter now than it would have been prior to releases. But literally, if you had just like booked him and Aleister Black in like a 15-minute match on TV and just said like, do what you do and go out and do it, they'd be like the biggest stars in the company in one night. Ricochet you'd have kids buying a bajillion Ricochet t-shirts if he could just go out there and do what Ricochet does.
Yep.
And yeah, he still gets popular because the kids see him do a flip and they're like, oh wow, look at the flip. He's the guy that does a flip. But if they knew that he did like 20 million flips in a match, he'd be on another level.
Punk Roxton Soda said, Liv is the girlfriend that Rhea brought to one concert for The Cure, and she got super into them and saw how much it meant to Rhea that she liked them.
Oh, that was very sweet. It's very accurate, actually. I like that.
On the subject of WrestleTalk as a whole, Swords, I assume that's how it's pronounced. Hi, Pete. Could you pass on a good job, Andy, on doing the BBC morning wrestling news for me? No. We don't say good job, Andy.
Combat Club.
We had that. We had the good job, Andy, on Tuesday. Now it's time for everyone else to have a good job.
Mm-hmm.
We've done the good job, Andy thing.
Good job, Pete.
Thanks, Tempest. Good job, Tempest.
Thanks, Pete.
John's Timmy said, I've been watching since Luke had hair and Ollie used to have used a different presenter voice. And the newer intro song has really grown on me recently, but I've had a burning question. How did you get SpongeBob to do the vocals? That rights must have cost a fortune.
Thanks, Tom Kenny. He came through. He's a friend of the show, actually.
Oh my God. I really hope Luke has seen that because that's amazing. Oh man, there was a couple that were missed from yesterday's podcast with me and Denise. Legit Underboss says, I'm hoping that Satnam Singh is more Paul White and Big Cass and less Great Khali and Omos. Also, good job, Pete. Nice to see Andy's been giving you tips. Andy's done no such thing. And I agree. Yes. Sheldon Jackson said, will either of you watch Moxley versus Ospreay today at Windy City Riot? Maybe. But I don't.
Probably not live.
I don't have to.
Oh, but it's good wrestling, Pete.
I know, but like time in it.
Yeah,
but have so much time, Tempest.
Don't we all?
Yeah. But it is Moxley Ospreay, so like maybe.
It should be a good show. And given what the rumored announcement could be on Dynamite, I've got a lot of interest in what happens on this here New Japan show.
Death Graps says, hey guys, long-time watcher. I'm curious about how the WrestleTalk team sources the images for thumbnails / the news and avoid copyright issues. Good question. I don't have the answer for you.
Yeah, I think it's all very inside baseball. There's a lot of, a lot of the time I do try and make sure, like, if it's a specific, like, photographer or something, I'll try and, like, put the credit to such and such, and whatever. But otherwise, I think most of it just kind of falls under free use or fair use because we're reviewing things.
Sure.
In theory, we should be protected from copyright and that sort of thing. In theory, communism works.
Nate Air says, Tempest, come on. Everyone knows the true meaning behind Easter is to give thanks that Jesus was saved from the dinosaurs by a bunny who distracted them with chocolate and brightly colored eggs. That's what it is.
I thought it was Jesus that ran off the dinosaurs. With like, I forget what the line is from Mean Girls. It's fine.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, there's something about Jesus saving everybody from the dinosaurs in that movie. It's been a while.
Well, he did do that. Tails P said, Rhea beat Naomi, who beat Liv, who beat Sasha. So Sasha will complete the circle by beating Rhea on Raw, right? I mean, it's the title match on Raw, so a bit late for that. Is Gulak becoming the new coachman? Woods got Pearl Harbored from the front. Also, main event Jimmy Uso. Wait, Jimmy?
Drew Gulak is much more talented than Jonathan Coachman.
Yes. 100%. Hawk the Outcast 823 said, just wanted to pop in and say thanks guys for laughing enough for my last Ultra Chat to be in the best of February video. Also still waiting on my smack ass shirt LIW for life.
Yeah, me too.
That's great.
Oh, I wish I had gotten that made.
Fred Verst says, Tempest and Pete appreciation. Ultra Chat been loving all the Pete on all the videos. A true Royal Rumble Iron Man showing. And Tempest reviews have the best background music. Appreciate all you do. Be kind to one another. Support WrestleTalk. Thank you.
Yeah. Do support WrestleTalk. And thank you.
Manuel Cifuentes says, more Rampage at 4 p.m. Pacific, please. What a Texas death match. Well worth watching an actual wrestling show live when it's focused on just wrestling. Side note, when Cole mentioned Kenny's name, I thought for a sec he would come out and distract Cole to lose.
Interesting.
Spicy.
We'll get there. We'll get to Kenny and Adam at some point.
Yeah. And Manuel Cifuentes once again says, almost forgot. Good job, Andy. Not a bot. Bot. You're a bot. They're all bots.
Yeah, you're pushing the pro Andy agenda.
Exactly, right? That's crazy. Anyway, that is going to do it for this episode of the WrestleTalk Podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Really do appreciate it. If you've not yet, like, subscribe, more content, more videos next week, streams, things, stuff happening. Tempest, I'm so good at outros.
You are.
Do the other YouTube stuff. Comment if you haven't yet. Be nice to each other. Say nope. I was just going to come up with something witty, and my brain just went, "You've forgotten all words." I'm going to go now. I'm tired. Bye.
Happy Easter.
LAW for life. Happy Hanukkah.